Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And from two films that I just reviewed, which are both from 2023 and that I watched for the very first time. Up next is a film that I've seen maybe like 4 or 5 times at least. This probably was the fifth time that I watched it this afternoon. And it is definitely one of my favorite horror films of all time. I don't know if I'll put it in my favorite list of movies of all time, but maybe just in the list right below that. So I'm talking about The Descent from 2005. It's a British horror film, written and directed by Neil Marshall. And like I said, I think it's done really well. I enjoy it thoroughly. Of course, it's tragic, but yes, for a movie, I definitely do enjoy it quite a bit. So, although it is shot in the UK, I think mostly in Scotland and the rest in London, it's actually supposed to be set in the United States. So there are these three friends named Sarah, Juno, and Beth. They go whitewater rafting, and Sarah's husband Paul and their daughters watching them from the sidelines. After they finish the whitewater rafting, they go their separate ways. But Paul and Jessica are killed when Paul is slightly distracted and while driving the car, and they get into an accident, and Sarah's the only one who survives. And of course, she's completely devastated when she wakes up and realizes that her child and her husband are both dead. A year later is when the rest of the movie is actually set. Sarah, Juno, and Beth, as well as their friends Sam and Rebecca, along with newcomer Holly, who is, they say, kind of like protege of Juno, but there's a little bit of a romance thing happening. I'm guessing I don't know if it's just my imagination, but just the way that they talk to each other, I don't know. So it's all six of these ladies. They decide to bond. It's a little bit of a healing thing as well for Sarah, now that it's been a year for her mourning. So they go to these, they were in the Appalachian Mountains. That's where they were staying, in a cabin in the US, and they decide to go to this underground cavern and explore. So this is actually set up by Juno. So the next day they hike up to the mountain cave entrance. They have to take the cars part of the way, and then they've got to walk. And then they descend into the cave. It's a beautiful setup. They love seeing it. And then as they're exploring, Juno basically says sorry to Sarah because she wasn't there after the accident. She found that it was very difficult for her to be there. So she apologizes, and then as the group goes they go through this narrow passageway, and then Sarah gets stuck, and then it collapses behind her, trapping them. And finally, Juno has to admit that this wasn't actually an explored part of the cavern. This area is unexplored. She thought rather that if they go and do it and be the first ones to explore it, this will actually rekindle their friendship, and it'll be something that they can all do together. But things backfired, and as they go through, they're trying to find an exit. They discover these old ancient climbing equipment, so they know that somebody's come there a long time back. They also see these cave paintings, so they think that early human beings were staying in there sometime. Holly thinks she sees sunlight, and she runs ahead, but she falls into a hole and breaks a leg. And while the others are trying to help her, through the camera, they actually see this pale humanoid creature with sharp teeth, and it starts attacking her. So we're going to call them crawlers. So there are these crawlers in this cavern who are blind humanoids. They possibly were cave dwellers, and over several thousand, maybe 100,000 years, they've evolved into these flesh-eating creatures that are more bat than anything else, but they look disgusting. Anyway, so They're, like I mentioned, they're actually blind. That's why I say they kind of remind me of the bats, and they are attracted by sound. And they're naked throughout, but you don't get to see the bits, to be honest. So yeah, that's fine. So the friends get separated. Juno is attacked by one, and then Holly is actually killed by one of the crawlers. It bits her into a neck and rips the flesh out. Holly tries to attack it, and then when she kills it, and then she thinks that there's one of them behind her, she hits with her pickaxe, but it's actually Beth, and Beth is taken away by once she collapses, one of the crawlers come and drag her away, and Juno runs away from her. While she falls down, Beth actually grabs the pendant that's around Juno's neck, and she's holding on to it. And Sarah had fallen down. She awakens and she sees a lot of animal carcass and human carcass near her. She sees Holly's body being mauled and eaten by the crawlers, but she tries to be very quiet so that they can't hear her. The remaining three ladies, they actually see this cave markings from previous explorers, and it seems that there is another way out, so they try to look for the second place, but Juno will not leave without getting Sarah back. And Sarah finds Beth still alive, and she managed to mumble to the words that it was Juno who actually wounded her and then abandoned her, and she gives her the pendant to Sarah, which lets her know that it's actually a gift from Paul. And she realizes that Paul, her husband, and Juno actually had an affair before his death, and she is really upset. Beth asks her to kill her because she can't get up and go. She's dying, but she doesn't want to be eaten by the creatures. So while she's still alive, so she asks for a mercy killing, and then Sarah does it. The friends she reaches up with the others. The friends try to get away, but Rebecca and Sam are captured. They both die. Finally, just Juno and Sarah, and they kill off a couple of these creatures. But then Sarah, in a show of revenge, she basically strikes Juno on the leg, basically making her she can't run, so she's an easy target for the crawlers. Sarah just runs off to the area where they think that's the exit out to sunlight, basically to the outside world, and she hears Juno screaming as several crawlers descend upon her. Sarah falls down a hole and she comes out. There's a slope covered with bones that she's crawling out of. And this is the part which is actually, so there are actually two endings. She comes out, she runs to the car, she speeds out of the woods, reaches kind of like a proper road, and then starts crying in tears. And then after she vomits, she kind of hallucinates seeing a bloody Juno sitting right next to her car. She starts screaming. And then she wakes up, still in the cave. She had knocked herself out, and she had actually dreamed this up. And then as she gets up, she sees what to her feels like she sees a hallucination or vision of her daughter Jessica with a birthday cake. The light is actually from the flame that she was carrying with her, and she smiles still in that kind of a trance, mother's loss of missing her child. And as she smiles, the camera goes back, and you can see a lot of the crawlers are getting closer. You can hear the noise rather of them, and that's with the shriek, the movie ends. That is the British version. The American version, which I have also seen, but I have it's still there, but I watched it on streaming. The American version was deemed to be too depressing, so they actually made it that she did get out and she escaped. So that's The Descent. Like I said, it's a fantastic film. The creatures are disgusting looking. I wouldn't say that disgusting. Oh yeah, they are actually. And yeah, it's a pretty good film. Awesome film. I really love this movie. I give it an 8.5 out of 10. Directed very well, acted very well. Shauna McDonald plays Sarah. Natalie Mendoza plays Juno. Alex Reed plays Beth. These are the three main women. And then Saskia Mulder plays Rebecca. Miana Burring plays Sam. Nora Jane Noon plays Holly. And then, of course, you have it's only two other people, which is Paul and Jessica. Out of this, I have only watched Holly. I think I'm not really sure. I have seen her in one other film, which is the movie about these sisters who were sexually assaulted by the Irish Catholic Church, the Magdalene sisters, Irish Catholic priests, basically. That is I think the only other movie that I've seen her in. The rest of the ladies, the three ladies, Natalie Mendoza, Alex Reed, and Shauna McDonald, fantastic job in the movie, I believe, but I don't think I've seen them in anything else. I'm trying to actually see. They're there in the sequel as well, but I don't really think I've seen them in anything else. I'm actually looking to see whether I have. Shauna McDonald. There are actually two actresses with the same name. One is her, she's Scottish, and there is a Shauna McDonald from Canada, but I do not know if I'm getting confused that way. Just checking to see if I've seen her, this Shauna McDonald, anything else. No. She was in Star Wars The Last Jedi, but I think it's just a small role, so I'm going to try and see if I can actually catch her when I watch The Last Jedi sometime soon. Yeah. The other thing I want to mention, of course, that this movie is directed by Neil Marshall. And Neil Marshall, who is a fantastic director, he has dropped down the ladder. I mean, he made Dog Soldiers and The Descent, and then Doomsday as well. All three are good horror-oriented films. I think The Centurion is pretty good. I haven't really watched it. And then he made 2019's Hellboy, which, okay, is a bad film, but... And then 2022's The Lair, which is another terrible film. So I've actually done the review for The Lair, so it's there, but I haven't done a review for Dog Soldiers. I've watched it two, maybe three times. I will definitely do one later, and I think I've done the review for the Hellboy. I haven't watched the Centurion. I've watched Doomsday once, so really got to try and see whether he can actually get better movies coming up. The Lair was terrible. I do not know about the movie The Reckoning. Looks interesting, but no idea how good that's going to be. Anyway, I give this film an 8.5 out of 10. Like I said, one of my favorite movies in the horror genre. That's it. Have a good night.